Matthew Sluka became the most famous quarterback in college football for a minute there. So, to briefly recap, Sluka transfers from Holy Cross, FCS Holy Cross, after 4 years to UNLV. Shows up in the summer, wins the starting job, and plays 3 games, which UNLV has won them all, and they look very good. He is 21 of 48, 43.8% completion rating. His 6 TDs, a pick. He also ran for TD. Pretty nice dual threat, but he's throwing 15 passes a game. He announces on Tuesday night that he is going to quit the team and take a redshirt year to preserve his final year of eligibility. Now, under NCAA redshirt rules, you can play 4 games, and anything more than 4, you cannot take a redshirt year. But if you only play 3.5, you get injured, or you're only in a few plays for 4 games, it's a nice thing college football did. The NCAA tried to do, because people would complain about guy would get in one time because he had to on one punt coverage and he'd lose a whole year. So the NCAA did this rule. So some people have exploited it through the years, and Sluka's basically saying, I'm out. And he said the reason he's out is because promises were not kept with NIL compensation. I'll go to Ross with the details, but the basic premise is Sluka's family said that they were told by a UNLV assistant that he could get $100,000 if he came to UNLV for the year. But in fact, he's only received $3,000. And the NIL collective for UNLV has not paid up what they were hoping. And they had an NIL agent trying to make a deal, and nothing was going down. And they're claiming they were cheated out of the money that they were owed. So they're just not going to play for UNLV anymore because they didn't get this money. Ross, correct whatever I didn't get right there, and where did this all go from there?
I think a lot of people in college athletics were waiting a long time for something like this to happen. They've been waiting and waiting for a somewhat high-profile player on a team that's ranked to quit over broken NIL promises. It's happened. I think it's happened quite a bit, but privately, maybe not. A big time player, maybe not a ranked team, maybe player just quietly either eventually gets the money or just goes in the portal, and doesn't say anything. That's happened a lot. But this one obviously became public. And you got 2 sides there. You kind of laid out those sides there. I mean, the gist is that the agent side with the players says that he was made a verbal promise, and he came to the school under that promise and condition that he'll receive $100,000. And the other side is from the school and the school's collective saying no, nothing was in writing, and we weren't, at least the collective wasn't made aware of that promise. And so they offered him, as you mentioned, right, $3,000 a month instead of whatever, $9,000, $10,000 a month, whatever it would be for $100,000. And that's where we are. And I think what's happened here is, as I mentioned, this has happened quite a bit, just not going public. And one of the this kind of center of this is a huge issue, which is the communication between the coaching staff and the collective. And at many places that probably a little more maybe organized. And I was talking to one of them a couple of days ago, and all this happened yesterday. And they said, Ross, the biggest thing for us is the coaching staff does nothing with the money. They don't talk about the money to the player. I, as in the collective CEO, call the player and talk to mom, dad, whoever, agent, player about money. Coaching staff does nothing with money. And it's a great role to have, and this is exactly why.
Yeah, Sluka-gate. Fascinating. To me, this is by far the lesser of the 2 problems that UNLV has been ensnared in this week, but we'll get to the other one. Still, this is the issue. I mean, this gave everyone out there who's of the opinion that NIL is ruining college football, this gave them something to beat people about the head and shoulders with. The disloyal player who's going to quit on his team, or the scammy assistant coach who makes a promise he can't keep. Either way, this is your sign of the apocalypse. So realignment's the bigger sign of the apocalypse. However, sticking to this issue,
God, Pat, you are on a roll. Go.
Should I?
No,
okay.
keep going. Yeah, I mean, hallelujah.
Well, yeah. We got a $55 million law battle in the Pac-12 versus the Mountain West. $55 million battle for Mountain West versus Pac-12 money that's going to court. But people are losing their mind over whether this college quarterback at UNLV was just supposed to get $100,000 or not. UNLV has never ever mattered. And congratulations to them for mattering for once. They're 3-0. They've beaten a couple of power conference teams. They have never been ranked 1 week ever in the AP Top 25. Never. Their best season in 1984, they went 11-2, and guess what happened? All the wins were vacated because they had ineligible players. So UNLV's never done anything, and now all of a sudden we're talking about them. It's truly wild. But the bigger issue is the lying, backstabbing, browbeating, and suing for tens of millions of dollars as we tear apart conferences and kill off rivalries. That's a far bigger deal than whether or not Matthew Sluka got screwed. Now, for the Sluka family and for Matthew Sluka, hey, this is a big deal. And if you're a UNLV fan, it's a big deal. And it's a fascinating thing that everybody's talking about because, to Ross's point, this has been the boogeyman that everybody was sure was in the closet. Now, oh my God, here it comes out. NIL's a cesspool. It's really not. There've been some bad situations, no doubt about it. Jaden Rashada, this one was Sluka. And I would like to hear from Brennan Marion, the alleged offerer of the $100,000, according to Mr. Sluka telling ESPN what happened there, because coaches are certainly not supposed to be making money offers, although surely they do. But, it's just, to me, we are talking more about the wrong issue at UNLV than the right issue.
Amen. Yeah. So there's a lot of national media. They don't really cover college football, right? Most national media are focused on the NFL and the NBA. And for good reason. So your morning talk shows, your national radio shows, for the most part, are focused on those two sports. And especially when you get into the arcane details of college athletics, like how NIL works. And then you have all these people that are I don't know what they're arguing about. They're just mad about NIL or something. And so, yes, this became this, oh my God, look what happened. We need guardrails. We need rules. We need something. And everyone needs to take a damn deep breath. Okay. First off, the fact that we have 2 cases in like 5 years, Jaden Rashada and Matthew Sluka, tell me there isn't a problem. Of course there's going to be a bad
2 cases
deal.
that became public, Dan.
Became public, sure.
Yeah.
But that's it.
True.
You know what happened before when players got told by coaches they were going to get $100,000 to come to a school? They got given $3,000 and that was it. They got stiffed and they had no recourse whatsoever because they were blackmailed by NCAA rules. The list of players that did not get what they were promised by somebody to play at a school has gone on for generations. But they had to be quiet. They couldn't do anything. Matthew Sluka has ways to remedy this. Namely, walks away. Matthew Sluka quit on his team. Okay? I don't think the Slukas really were that prepared for what they were going into. Did a guy say, hey, maybe you get $100,000? They should have known they're not giving $100,000 to him to a Holy Cross football transfer. Unlikely at UNLV. They didn't get a contract. Put it in writing. They can go to court and say, where's our $100,000? didn't get a contract, are going with this maybe a verbal promise. They learned the hard way in Vegas. The house always wins. Don't go looking to collect your money in Vegas unless you got ironclad proof they owe you. Ain't going to happen. So I look at the Slukas and say, you made a bad business deal. If you even made a deal, you're not getting the money. But the idea that this is some disaster. Yes. Is it a clunky system where you have these outside things paying? And yes, absolutely. The NCAA should do something like, set up, employment and collective bargaining, and then maybe they can get somewhere. Other than that, whatever rule the NCAA, people are proposing the NCAA to come up with is illegal. It doesn't stand a chance. It's going to be found illegal, or it's going to go to the Supreme Court, or as we saw, the attorneys general of Tennessee and Virginia is going to step in and say, yeah, nah, not working here. That's not going to fly. There is a loophole here with Matthew Sluka and other players where, and maybe this is the motivation. I'm just going to say hypothetically, I don't want to put this on Sluka because I don't know. But let's say this kid was really balling out. Again, he completed 43% of his passes. That's right. But let's say he goes to UNLV. Let's say he gets $100,000. Let's say he's getting $10,000 a month and everything's going great. And he completes 90% of his passes, has 18 touchdowns right now. Looks like the best quarterback going. Now, maybe he would say, hey, I'm going to go pro. But maybe he's not a pro type prospect. So he says, I'm going to quit this team after 3 weeks. And I'm then going to enter the portal because I think with the tape I've put down at the group of 5 level, a Power 4 school is going to pay me $1 million next year. That loophole exists. Now, to close what they're mad at Sluka for, you would either have to somehow bar somebody from quitting a team. What do you make them play?
Yeah.
Or you have to change the red shirt rules, which again, they did because everyone, generally the same people, screamed that it wasn't fair that a kid played 3 games and it hurt his knee and he should get another year of eligibility.
No, that's great. The coaches wanted the red shirt rule.
Coaches wanted the red shirt.
Oh my God, now they're set up to just screw us over after 4 games. Yeah.
So what are you coming up with? Yes, he could do this if there's actually all this money. Now, the risk, are you going to pay $1 million to a guy who quit on a 3-0 team? Okay, that's the risk he takes. I look at it as like, this is business. Every day in business, people make bad deals, they get screwed over, whatever. There are protections for Matthew Sluka. There's protections for UNLV. You got to sign a contract. Some dude in Vegas promised me $100,000? Come on, man. What? This is a plot twist of Hangover. And then there's Vegas. They go, we don't ever discuss. We don't pay players here. I think I'm just going to pull out an old UNLV book I wrote. Let me see what's in here. I don't know.
The UNLV statement was the best part of the whole damn day. It was tremendous. Just a tremendous statement. I'm trying to like search for it as we're talking here. Here it is. Here it is. Football player Matthew Sluka's representative made financial demands upon the university and its NIL collective in order to continue playing. UNLV Athletics interpreted these demands as a violation of the NCAA pay-for-play rules as well as Nevada state law. UNLV does not engage, Dan, in such activity, nor does it respond to implied threats.
No.
Implied
threats.
No.
Implied threat in Vegas is you're ending up in down by the Hoover Dam. That's a threat. New Vegas.
By the way, let me take a page from the Honorable Judge Claudia Wilkins' book and say you're about to get the directly share revenue with athletes. You are paying them to play.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, this was just a bad deal. I don't know what they're doing. Whatever. This is not some disaster. Can we do better? Yeah. But some of the hand wringing and the screaming and the this, like, what exactly do you propose? Is there anything, Pat, that you could do?
No, I mean, like, as we've said before, I mean, look, there's two potential solutions. One is pretty much a half measure. The other is a full measure, which, as you've said, employment status, collective bargaining, contracts, the whole deal, right? The half measure that the NCAA wants and a lot of the schools want, and some people in Congress want. I talked to Ted Cruz about this a couple of weeks ago. We want to empower the NCAA to have more hands-on control of this and to have, you said, I'm in favor of a database of agents' salaries, all that stuff. And I want a lot of it in writing. I want all that stuff in writing. I know, Dan, you do not, but that I think would help.
I don't think the players should do that. I don't care. I want as much info as possible. But if I'm a player, when you give up your negotiating right by giving out that information, that is proprietary information in private practice of how much we pay our executives, what we pay, unless it has to be disclosed due to tax form, publicly traded information or whatever. But nobody wants to say what they're paying. Nobody wants that. The players should not want that. They have more bargaining by saying, hey, I'm going to get $100,000 from UNLV. And you go,
right.
Are they bluffing or not? That's all I'm saying. But I get why the schools would want that, and Cruz is on the side of the schools. 100%.
Yes. Yeah.
Not a big issue for me. I just don't think players should give up their info.
Right. I just think those are your two options, I think, is make them employees or, again, another half measure, and we have seen the NCAA do nothing but fail with half measures.
But even then, if he doesn't sign a contract, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Again, and you know what? There was some confusion. This is a good point. There was some confusion on, can athletes sign, contracts before they enroll at a college with a collective or a third party? The answer is actually yes, because the Tennessee injunction permitted this to happen. But it doesn't sound like the agent knew of that rule. And I don't blame them, because the rules are very murky. The guardrails and the guidelines that the NCAA put out are extraordinarily murky. And the only reason that an athlete could sign with a third party before they enroll is because of this Tennessee injunction. And some people interpret it differently, but there's plenty of collectives that I spoke to that do sign players before they enroll. Now, they don't necessarily start getting paid until they enroll, but they sign them to agreements, and that's probably what should have happened here.
Everybody's probably a bit to blame here, right? Like, if you're Matthew Sluka, yes, you say, hey, we need, and you say to your agent, Marcus Cromartie, we need this in writing. We got to have something. We got to have a paper. We got to have a contract. We got to have something, where they are committed to doing this. And then if you've been there, I think he got there in like May or something, I think after he graduated from Holy Cross. Well, a month goes by, 2 months go by. I think I would have raised the issue. Now, apparently Marcus Cromartie did not contact the collective until I believe it was August 29th or something. Kind of late, in the game at that point. I think maybe by then Sluka had been named the starting quarterback and he was the guy. But if you were owed money, you should have pursued getting that money maybe a little sooner.
Yeah. Both the player and in some ways the schools are more protected now than they ever have been. But this was taken as and then another player from UNLV said, I'm leaving too. Promises weren't kept. Everyone flips out again. It's like, I wasn't playing as much. Okay.
Yeah.
Bear Alexander transfers from USC. Oh my God. See what's happening.